I'm going to make an argument that America's smart cities are fundamentally broken. And it's not just due to how they operate, but rather how we think of smart city development. In the past, what we've seen is this idea of you being able to enter any city and know what personalized recommendations for what restaurants you want to go to, where you want to live, what venues you want to see. But there's something more substantive to the systems engineering of building cities, and that's the information that cities have within their municipal archives. So to kick this off, I'm going to posit a situation for you. You've just spent the last 3 years saving up for a new addition for your house. You're expecting a new baby. You've gone through the architecture process. You spent lots of money to an architecture firm, to a surveyor, to a lawyer, and you're ready to go in front of the infamous zoning board. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been in front of a zoning board before, but it's almost like stepping into the 1700s. You go and you create an argument in front of a bunch of folks that have these paper records. What's in these paper records? It's municipal regulations that are hard to follow. It's past zoning decisions that might impact your project and how you would build your addition. And you look for Lisa. Lisa is your key to the city. She's the one who you've worked with, the city planner that's been there for 20 years that understands the facets of every single regulation. Except what you see is you see Lisa gone. She's retired, and the wealth of information that she has in her brain is absent to the annals of history. And instead, you have two folks up here who are debating the interpretation of a regulation that will allow you to build your house. They're guessing. They're saying, I think it was zoned this way due to a previous reason. I don't know. And they're going through all of these papers. And you step back and you think, well, this makes no sense. We're living in the 21st century. Everyone has heard of large language models. Everyone's heard of ChatGPT. How come when I am going to do something to my property, I'm stuck in the 1700s? And that's because we have a problem with our local governments. Everyone is aware of the phrase local governments are inefficient. But they don't realize the extent of the inefficiencies. So if we take a look at the landscape, everyone might have some sort of digitized record. You might be able to go in and search for a PDF around what is the regulation that will allow me to build my addition or build my pool. But it's 700, 800 pages long of legalese, and you as an individual might not be able to understand that. So you hire a very expensive lawyer, hoping that that lawyer has the experience to go through these cases and be able to understand the tenets of that zoning bylaw. But you realize that there's another problem. There's a new bylaw, a new regulation around, say, water quality. You don't have any understanding of that. And then you go to ask Lisa, and Lisa's gone, so there's an erosion of knowledge. So fundamentally, our governments are isolated almost in the 1800s with these digitized, poorly digitized, handwritten records. And you say, well, there has to be a better way. We're living in the 21st century, not the 17th century. Enter municipal intelligence. So my company, Artifacts, has a municipal assistant called Artie. So imagine that you're an insurance underwriter asking the question, show me all of the properties with septic system issues in an area. That impacts my water quality, that impacts my flood zone, all of these thousands of pages of records at your fingertips. It is now available. Or you're a property developer and saying, identify all of the zoning bylaws, all of the precedents that relate to mixed-use development in the downtown area. We know we're in a housing crisis, but there's issues with these zoning laws, and there's issues with interpretations of them. And we're able to now talk to these documents, talk to these historic meetings to understand what is the ability for me to develop and democratize this information to make our cities more transparent, more accountable, and allow us to enter the 21st century with cities. But this is not just a document discovery tool. It is not just a chatbot. What we're able to do is function as a smart digital archive. So Artie can go out to any municipality in the world, find documents that are not in our database, that are relevant to regulation, relevant to the history of a property, and transform them into an easily queryable database. But more than that, we're able to take that unstructured data and transform it into structured data. So if you're interested in what is the water depth in a specific area and you're putting in a pool, AI can go through and identify the relevant issues in the historical cases and historical precedents to get you that information and plot it on a map. More so, you're able to specifically interact with these documents, with these meetings, and chat with the individuals who have historic knowledge. Earlier, there was a pitch for a startup that talks about speaking to Aristotle, speaking to Cleopatra. We're now this age of generative AI. What we're able to do is now speak to the original intenders of these municipal regulations to help spur smart development of the 21st century, getting down to a neighborhood level. So what does this look like? This looks like a globally connected network where we can go to any municipality in the world and transform these old archaic records into something that is smart, something that is digitizable, and something that can have global impact for the growth of smart city development. No longer asking the question, hey, what am I going to eat at a city? But rather, how can I use the local information to help us plan this city to be more intelligent, more sustainable, and more scalable? So what does this look like? We are no longer limited to a specific geographic boundary. We can understand the problems that one city might have had in Lagos, Nigeria, to compare to Oslo, Norway, say around some sort of topsoil issue or water quality issue, and what were successes and what were failures to develop smart policy to drive our cities forward. So in conclusion, what we're looking at is a global impact of modernizing our cities from the ground up. We are no longer able to lose information due to someone retiring. We can retain that information into a centralized database that saves significant time and resources for developers, enhanced accessibility and collaboration for accountable policy development, the preservation of historical records so we no longer have these knowledge gaps when someone retires from the city, and lastly, we can drive economic growth to enhance global collaboration by transforming the way we govern. So if you're interested in seeing this, feel free to chat with me after. We are working with both municipalities and the federal government to help create this democratization of regulations so everyone knows what is going on in their city, what is going on in their town, and how you can survive the 21st century.